Memories of youth and my 80s. Thanks you so much for choosing this channel to spend a few quiet minutes with me. If you enjoy heartfelt stories and don't want to lose these shared memories, please subscribe and leave a like. It means a lot and helps our community grow. Let's hold on to the warmth of every summer night together. I remember the summer evenings most of all, when the sky turned amber and the cicadas began their long, unbroken chorus. Those evenings had a way of stretching time, as if the world itself slowed just enough for us to notice its gentleness. When I close my eyes now, decades later, I can still feel that warmth on my skin, the soft glow of streetlights flickering on, the familiar creak of the porch swing as my father settled into it with a sigh. That meant he was finally home, finally resting, finally ours. My name is Mike. I am older now, 47, with grey at my temples and bills on the counter, and yet in quiet moments, I feel myself slip backward into the boy I once was. A boy with grass stains on his socks, frosting on his cheek, dirt beneath his fingernails, and a heart that believed the world would always be kind. In 1987, the world was small enough to understand and big enough to dream inside of. Elm Street was my universe, and everything I loved existed within the few blocks that surrounded our home. Our house stood in the middle of that street, painted a cheerful shade of blue that peeled in the winter and glowed in the summer. My mother kept flowers along the porch, marigolds, zinnias, and sun-worn daisies that nodded politely to the neighbors when the breeze picked up. From the kitchen came the sound of her humming, as she baked pies the way other mothers baked casseroles or reheated leftovers. She believed every day deserved something sweet at the end of it, and I suppose that's part of why I remember those summers with such warmth. Everything in our house tasted like care. My father was a quieter man. He read the newspaper every evening with the same posture, the same slow sip of iced tea. When he laughed, it was not loud, but full, like he gave something of himself away in the sound. He fixed bicycles, patched screens, tightened the screws on porch rails, and taught me that love could be shown without words. He didn't need to say he cared. He just showed up, every day, in the thousand small ways you don't notice until years later, when you realize how much of a person's love comes from things they do, not the things they say. Every afternoon, when school ended and homework was tossed carelessly onto coffee tables, my friends and I gathered behind Tommy's house. There was no schedule, no texting, no organizing. We simply knew to go. The sidewalk there was cracked, the lines filled with dust and chalk, but to us it was the greatest baseball field in the world. We played with a ball that had been scuffed years earlier and a bat that rattled when you held it too tight. It didn't matter. Everything we needed, we had. Tommy was my best friend, though none of us used words like that. Kids don't need labels. Friendship simply is. He had a gap between his teeth and a laugh that came all the way from his ribs. He was the kind of kid who ran instead of walked, who climbed instead of stood, who believed every backyard held buried treasure and every storm cloud promised adventure. His house always smelled like peanut butter and grass. His mother called us by our full names when she was serious, which meant most times she called us by our full names. We wore out our jeans sliding on pavement, collecting bruises we bragged about as victories. When evening came and the fireflies rose like sparks from the grass, we piled into my living room. The fan whirred, the carpet felt warm beneath our legs, and we watched the same VS tapes over and over. Back to the Future, The Goonies, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. We didn't know lines from repetition, we knew them because they felt like our story. Like adventure could find us, too, if we listened closely enough to the dusk. My younger sister Julie sat near us, always with her best friend Sarah, who chewed on the end of her braid absent-mindedly. They pretended they weren't interested in our games, but they always were. When I think back on Sarah now, I remember sunlight catching her hair, and how she laughed at jokes nobody else heard. Strange, the things memory keeps. The world felt safe then. Not perfect, no childhood ever is, but safe. We didn't lock doors during the day. We knew every neighbor by name. If you fell, someone's mom would come outside with a wet paper towel and a bandage before you even stood back up. If your bike chain slipped, a dad would fix it. If your heart ached, a grandmother would listen. The world was stitched together by hands, not screens, and people looked up when you spoke. On Saturdays, our parents drove us to the park. The wagon smelled like sunscreen and old upholstery. Dad brought cold fried chicken wrapped in wax paper, and Mum read paperback novels while we ran until our legs burned. We chased frisbees, climbed rusted monkey bars, and returned only when the sun dipped low and the air settled into a gentle evening hush. Those were the days when boredom turned into invention, when you could lie beneath a tree and imagine whole worlds in the clouds above. I remember rainy days, too, the ones where the world turned silver and cool, and we stayed inside playing Monopoly on the living room floor. The pieces clinked softly, thunder rolled in the distance, and Dad made popcorn on the stove. Not microwave popcorn, real popcorn. The kind that jumped and burst and filled the whole house with its nutty warmth. Rain never felt sad then. It felt like a chance to rest. Holidays came like stories we already knew by heart. Lights on the house, music in the kitchen, cards in the mail, and neighbors stopping by just because. There was always laughter, sometimes loud, sometimes quiet. Sometimes tired, but laughter all the same. Even when things went wrong, forgiveness came gently. Arguments never lasted long. Nobody held grudges the way people do now. Life was too short and too precious to waste on being right instead of being kind. Time moved, as it always does, slowly at first, then all at once. We grew taller. Our voices changed. The baseball bat felt smaller in our hands. Suddenly, we were teenagers. Music played louder. Conversations grew longer. Dreams stretched farther. Some friendships deepened. Some faded without farewell, the way childhood things often do. Tully moved away first. His father changed jobs. One day, we were sitting on the curb eating rocket pops from the ice cream truck. And the next day, his house was empty. No goodbye big enough exists when you're young. You don't understand what leaving means until much later. Years passed. More faces changed. Elm Street grew quieter. The swing on our porch stopped creaking. These tapes were replaced by discs. Letters became phone calls. Phone calls became messages. Messages became silence. I grew up. I got a job. I built a life. I became someone responsibilities depended on. And somewhere along the way, those long, warm summer evenings slipped behind me, not lost, but softened as though viewed through sunlight reflecting on water. Last year, I saw Tommy again. His name is Thomas now, though I slipped and called him Tommy. And he smiled, as if grateful someone still remembered him as he once was. We sat beside a small fire, the same way we used to sit beneath streetlights. We looked through old photos, edges curled from time. Our laughter returned easily, like it had only been waiting beneath the surface, ready to rise again. We lived in a good time, he said, staring into the embers. Not perfect, not grand, not dramatic, just good, warm, simple, human. I think about that often now. How the smallest moments are the ones that shape us. How love hides in ordinary days, homemade pie cooling on the counter, a shared glance between siblings, the sound of cicadas in the evening air. How the world once felt gentle not because it was, but because we allowed it to be. And I wonder if we still can. If even now, with all the noise and hurry and distance between people, we can choose to sit together in the quiet, to share laughter, to remember fireflies, to listen for the soft hum of summer evenings that once made us feel whole. Because those memories are not gone. They are stitched into us. They live in the way we speak gently to a child, in the way we offer a seat to someone who looks tired, in the way we pause, just for a moment, to watch the light fade in the sky. Warmth does not disappear. It only waits to be recognized again. And on summer nights, when the cicadas begin to sing and the sky glows gold, I step outside, close my eyes, and I am home again. Always.